You're watching Napp Motorsports. I'm Dylan, and on today's episode, we are doing a door gut. That's right, we're gonna figure out how much weight we're saving and actually how to do one of these from gutting the door itself all the way to doing a quick release. So let's do it. Now we do have some things that I weighed that I'd already taken out of the door here that I'm putting on the scale now. And there are two options door-wise themselves. A manual door, which I'm putting on the scale now, as well as the automatic power window doors, which obviously weigh heavier and weigh more than the manual doors themselves. Now that we have the weights, let the gutting begin. You're really gonna need to do this in steps. You really can't just do one cut all the way around the edges of the door, unfortunately. You kind of need to do them sections at a time. And as you uncover areas of the door, it'll become easier and easier to cut up and remove those guts. Look at this guy, having too much fun here. Anyway, yes, you are going to need to do this in layers, and be wary, the edges are going to be sharp. We're going to take care of that a little later here in this video. As you can see, as we get through those different layers and uncover this, you can start getting into the actual guts of the door, cutting stuff out, removing everything that's actually in there. And after you do that, you're going to have these edges in here with these other layers that need to be hammered, hammered down flat. You could cut these out. I couldn't get the cutter in there to gut that like you could if I'd taken more time, but I just hammered these flat so they were out of the way and not going to be cutting anyone or be a problem. Next, we're going to take the grinder and we're going to take down a lot of these sharp edges. It's not going to be perfect. We've got a solution for that to fully remove all these sharp edges, but you can get a lot of that out here, and you can also straighten up some of your cuts. They might be a little jagged or irregular. You can really go in there and kind of fine-tune that with the grinder as well. It's really satisfying. Yes, look at that gutted door. So satisfying. And we're not going to just leave it like this. We are going to paint it to match the rest of the interior, which means black on the top and around the outside. And then we're going to use that truck bed liner on the bottom portion within the door itself. Let's see how much weight we're actually saving here. Any guesses? We are down to 35.4. And here are our final results. You got to keep in mind, this is per door, so you got to take the amount we've saved and multiply it by 2, or double it, and that's really the total savings from going about this door gut and cutting all that out. I'd say it's worth it. Next, we're going to install this on the car, and I'm going to show you how we're going to actually open the door from the inside moving forward. So now that we have the door mounted up, I did go in and grind back a lot of these edges, but they are still sharp. In order to address that, we actually have this trim molding. You can get offline. I think we got this from Amazon, and we'll cover up this sharp edge all the way around this door cut itself, and that'll make it so even if you were to graze your hand against any of these edges, you're not going to get cut. So now that I have the trim on, the next thing that we're going to do is figure out the new way to open up this door. Obviously, we've gutted everything in there. We no longer have that little pull tab that you could open the door up from. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get in touch with my old bike mechanic. I was never a bike mechanic, I was a bike salesman. I've got a bike cable here, brake cable, as well as some brake cable housing, and we're going to route this across the entire door so you can just pull on this and it'll open up the door. If you've seen the inside of a Ferrari F40, it actually has something very similar. So this is basically just a Ferrari now.
I'm not amused.
Neither am I. Anyway, this is the door latch mechanism, and you can see we are able to remove this metal connecting rod. It sits in here through a little eyelet that we can just take out and through that little eyelet, as we remove this material in here, that is going to be what we run the cable through. So you can see here's the cable. We've got the end that is typically captured in a brake handle. That is going to go through on the far side of that eyelet. So I'm just going to draw that through here, and we're going to be able to catch that cable, think, right there. Check this out. Boom, look at that. Next step is going to be measuring the distance across the door and through little eyelets and doubling back. It's not just going to be the cable that we're running, it is going to be the cable housing as well. This is for two main reasons. One is it's red, it looks amazing. No. The housing is going to be easier on your hands to grab. It's not going to be as sharp as the cable itself. And then the second thing is, you're going to see here I loop the cable through these two little door eyelets, and the housing is going to protect the cable itself from wearing out over time on those areas. It will wear through there eventually after use, but that housing will definitely protect it. Once we have it cut to length, you can grab a nut. You actually use this just like you would a normal brake cable. You're going to be able to tighten down right on the cable itself. And in the future, as the cable stretches, we can go in there and readjust and retighten that cable so this latch continues to work. All right, moment of truth. Here we are, sitting in the car. Now, this door was not used for a little while, so it was a little stiff. Had to go in there with some WD-40 to open it, but hey! Also, when you're in a harness, sitting down, that cable's pretty easy to grab when you're tied down. Oh, dude, relax. Relax. You thought I forgot about the window. I didn't. I have a strategy to keep this window in the car. So you see, this is the hardware that the window has coming out of it. We're going to want to save this hardware. You don't need all of it, but save it, because we're going to be reusing a lot of it. So here is the worn-out window dowel. I'm not sure if that's the right name, but that's what I'm calling it. Now I'm going to replace this because it's actually going to sit inside the door here on a little tab. So you can see I'm trying to get my flashlight in there so you can see it's sitting on a little tab. This tab is originally from the door, other hardware that you need to save. Here's what that tab looks like. You can go in there and you can adjust where that angle the tab sits in the door, but there's an opening in there. You can see here I am kind of showing visually where that sits and how it sits in the door itself to actually nestle the window in there. And when you do that, the window is still a little loose. You can see I'm kind of just popping out of that dowel, and it's just not very secure in there. Well, if we look at this hole, there's actually a hole that lines up with the window itself. You can reuse another bit of hardware from the window originally, find a longer bolt, and what that can actually do is go through the door, through the window on the far side, reuse that hardware, so you're not tightening too much on the glass, but spreading it out over the larger surface area. And the trick here is you don't want to over-tighten, because if you do, you risk cracking the glass, and that's obviously not good for anybody. Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited. And that's a wrap! I am so happy with how this ended up. Of course, we're having so much scope creep, as is standard with any build season. I'm really happy to be able to have this glass in here that's sturdy and really not going anywhere, yet we can remove it really easily with really just one bolt, as well as exit the car. So in terms of what's coming for the race car, lots of body panels are on it now. We also will have potential wheels coming soon, so stay tuned as the regular season gets upon us and we wrap this car up. We're a little sporadic with our content right now because we're in a little bit of a time crunch, as always. So just stay tuned, subscribe down below to stay up to date with what's coming. But lots of things are in motion. Let's do it! Thank you.